big welcome to our Saturday Patching Podcast. My name is Peter No, Senior Presidential Director here with LIFEWAVE. Today is, July 30th, the last Saturday, 5th Saturday of the month. Big welcome to, first of all our doctors this morning. Big welcome to all our guests this morning. And big welcome to all our partners this morning also. As you have seen in the last couple of weeks, the interviews with all our doctors on a Thursday, it has been a really nice build-up. Last week, we had a chance to listen to David Schmidt, but this week, we have a big blessing to get all the doctors together to get a nice roundabout with a Robin Hood style where we can do Q&A, get to know our doctors even more intimately closer to today. So without further ado, I just want to thank our doctors panel for coming on. We really appreciate your time. We know you're really busy. What we're going to do is we're going to start with questions for you in a round robin format. And then we're going to leave the last 15 minutes for question and answers, okay? I will monitor the chat so I can facilitate all our folks at the end. And what we like to do is let's get started. And I would love for each one of our doctors to share their credentials, their practice on their focus, and why you are here to talk about LIFEWAVE. So let's start off with Dr. Mel first. How are you this morning, Dr. Mel?
Great. Thank you so much, Peter. So I focus on gut health and repairing the microbiome. I have a PhD in natural medicine, getting my second PhD in functional medicine. And I got introduced to LIFEWAVE by Dr. Staci because we were both going to the same university and we've stayed in touch since then. So whenever we came across a new modality, it was shared with me. So I'm really grateful to be here. I help people to repair their gut microbiome using food sensitivity tests, biofeedback, and now we definitely use LIFEWAVE patches. So, gut health is it. When you repair the gut, most autoimmune issues and disorders goes away. But with the LIFEWAVE patch, the X39, it's even going in deeper because that's stem cells. So that's basically my credentials. I am a naturopath too, and I think that's it. Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but to see you, Dr. Mel, so young looking and to be in the field with that much knowledge, I'm just blown away. I thought I've seen everything in this world, but so nice to meet you. Okay, I can't wait to pick your brain. Our next doctor is Dr. Staci. How are you doing this morning?
I am fabulous, Peter. Thank you. So for myself, I actually was a school teacher 30 years ago. So I have a BS and an MA in education. And so teaching is my passion. It has been literally since I was old enough to talk. I started teaching my little brother. And so that's my background. I got into holistic health 20 years ago. So I do have a degree as a holistic health practitioner and have been involved in multi-level marketing companies over the last 20 years, LIFEWAVE being my third company. And so it wasn't like I bounced around all over the place, but definitely very passionate about something and in the sector of health and wellness, of course. And then I have used that platform of multi-level marketing to be able to educate massive amounts of people. Literally, I would say at this point, probably millions of people, from anywhere from individual to small group to large group. My largest is 20,000 people at Melina Arena here in Tampa. And so I'm excited to get larger than that now with LIFEWAVE as we continue to grow. I just love to teach. It is who I am. So like Dr. Mel said, beautiful young soul that just turned 24. I know she had more education than I even did before I went to college all those years ago. I love it. But it gives us hope for our younger generation, right? So I did get my PhD as well with Dr. Mel in integrative medicine and am also getting my PhD the same place Mel is. She introduced me to the college that she's going to for her PhD in functional medicine. So I'm doing that as well too, which aligns perfectly with everything we do. So my focus has always been nutrition. It's always been detoxification and then supplementing using different tools in my toolbox to help my clients have the best quality of life. And LifeWave, I always say this company, this technology is literally the cherry on top of the ice cream, and then the whipped cream, and the cherries on top, right? This right here is by far the best thing in 20 years that I have ever seen, ever. Hands down, anything, everything I've ever utilized, this is it. So that's where I am.
Well, Dr. Staci, for your third company, you sure saved the best for last, and the third one is a charm. So
third time's a charm.
We are glad you're here. I'm sure everyone, if you have followed Dr. Staci's journey since she's been here, you can't even catch up, okay? She's already just moving every day. So we're just blessed to have her here. She's an amazing, amazing person. So see you soon in Florida, Dr. Staci.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Dr. Patty, can you introduce yourself? How are you doing this morning?
Hi, well, thank you, Peter, and thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'm a medical doctor, an MD. I went to medical school as a second career. I was a music teacher in my first life, and like Staci, I love to teach as well. So I think that that's a very great career. I learned about the patches through one of my patients. I'm a functional medicine doctor, preventive medicine, regenerative medicine, however you want to say it. I really care about getting to the root cause of people's issues and problems, and helping them to work from the inside out. And so I love working with LifeWave. I've just been doing this for about 3 months now, so I'm new, and I am very excited to be with all of you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, thank you so much. And I heard your your story on Thursday, Dr. Patty, and
yes,
so interesting. I learned so much about the GHK, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions on that today for you.
yes,
So
yes.
it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Can't wait to pick your brain also. All right, our last doctor, Dr. Vienna. How funny, because I was born in Linz, Austria. So Vienna is another city next to Linz. So Dr. Vienna, how are you this morning?
A little frazzled. I'm at a dude ranch today doing massages for people. They're out working. So I had an issue trying to get on internet, but we made it happen. So it's good. I'm happy to be here. I also received my PhD in integrative medicine. I have an integrative medicine practice here in Republic, Washington. Prior to that, I was an occupational therapist, and I traveled all over the United States consulting with clients and providing education similar to Staci, and just loved it, absolutely loved it. But I saw all the, I was also practicing in Eastern medicine as well. So a very strong knowledge and resource in acupuncture and using different types of modalities, energy work, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been my passion. And so as I was traveling as an occupational therapist, I started implementing some of these traditional Chinese medicine techniques, aromatherapy, myofascial release, craniosacral, all these different things. And I saw everybody just excited about it, but the doctors never really embraced it, or they would question it, or I'd, challenge it. And I'd say, just give me your worst ones and we'll see what we do. And so we were able to see some progress with that. So I loved it so much that I decided to go back to school. Now I'm a little bit opposite than Mel. I went back to school at 52 to get my PhD. So it took me a while to get on that bandwagon. But I'm so happy I did. Thank you. You're never too old to get your PhD is what I say. Now I might have to get my second one based on what Staci and Mel are doing. So we'll see. And the reason I got into integrative is because of this whole wanting to integrate the two medicines together, the Western and the Eastern, and both are extremely necessary. They're very necessary. So I had 6 different people approach me about LifeWave. And it was only when Mel and Staci approached me that I went, okay, fine, I'm going to do it. And I think the first time that we talked, I said, the combination of using the patches with the meridians and the acupuncture points is like a match made in heaven, which I like to refer to as a patch made in heaven. And so I've just embraced it, and it's just been amazing what we're seeing. So I'm really happy to be a part of this family.
Oh, wow.
and
Thank you.
I forgot to mention what I specialize in. I specialize in pain, autoimmune issues, dementia, neurological issues, strokes, Parkinson's, MS. You pretty much name it, we do it.
Wow. That's all the hot buttons today, Dr. Vienna. That's all the hot buttons.
Yes.
Wow. Well,
yes.
Well, okay. I mean, everyone, get your pens ready. I know we have a lot of doctors here on this call who are very interested in the energy medicine. We have an array of knowledge here, okay, from all walks of life, all these doctors. So get ready. Let's have some fun with these questions. So, Dr. Mel, since we are starting off with the patch, I'm going to pass it on to you first. Can you explain how the patch technology works?
And that, Peter, is for the X39, Dr. Mel. Could you just give us a basic idea of how the stem cell activation patch, the X39, actually works?
Absolutely. So we know our body is light. It's emitting trillions of light at all times. Our DNA even absorbs light and emits light too. So we are light energetic beings. We're energy light. So when you go out at night, you can see people's body with a night vision goggle. So when you put this patch on the X39, which looks like this, inside of it is nothing but organic amino acids, salt, and sugar that forms it's a proprietary blend, and it forms a crystal lattice structure. The technical term for it is a stereoisomer, meaning it's not the regular molecular structure that you see, regular isomers, but it's a different special kind. It's a stereoisomer. So anyways, when we put this patch on at the back of our neck, C7, or 2 inches below the belly button, we like to stay in the governing meridian because that's where it's where the most meridians are. And, Dr. Vienna is probably going to correct me on this, but you can say the accurate one. But basically, that's where you get the most effect with the X39. When we put it there, our body's light hits this patch and it reflects back a signal to activate your GHK-Cu copper peptide, which would increase your stem cell production. And this is huge because, first of all, people spend tens and thousands of dollars on stem cell injection. And second of all, it can be controversial too, depending on how it's extracted and the method that it was used. But with this, it's literally the price of a cup of coffee a day. Everybody is regenerating, rejuvenating, and they are going back to a younger, youthful self, living as if they're 25, living up to 250 years old. So when you put this patch on, a third of your genome is upregulated. And then those genes go and express themselves into other genes. So basically you get like a perfect DNA too. So it's an amazing technology. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys know much about it, but for the people who are new, by the time stem cells are pluripotent, so they can differentiate into any cells that we need them to differentiate to. So when you may use this for your pain, but actually when you put it on, it's going to go and repair maybe your kidneys first, maybe your pancreas first, because it knows, it has the intelligence. Our body has the intelligence to know where it needs the repair. By the time we are in our 30s, we have less than half the supply of stem cells that we used to have. By the time we are in our 60s, we have less than 10% left. So that's why it's so important to use this patch, because we are able to give our body the stem cell, our own body stem cell, to get activated, and those can go and repair every single system. And the 3 systems that we see the most, first responses with the X39 is our digestive system, our nervous system, and our immune system. So those systems are amazing. And because I focus on digestive system, I love using the X39 because I think that part is coming up, but I'm going too fast ahead of the questions. But yeah, this is how the technology works. It's a biophotonic interaction of our light signaling different pathways and peptides, but specifically with this, it's the GHK-Cu copper peptide.
Dr. Mel, thank you for that wonderful exclamation. And now you know why she has like 3 PhDs, right? She is really fast. Her brain moves.
Smart.
She's so smart. So thank you, Dr. Mel. Dr. Staci, can you tell us a little bit about the X39 stem cell activation patch patent, as well as the key research studies? And maybe just tell us a little bit, in layman's terms, what a few of those studies say.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah. So if you're familiar with patents at all, you know that you have to prove certain things or make things that are very exclusive and individual, right? They're very proprietary. And so David has himself personally over 130 patents. And we know there are at least 70 plus that are in the area of regenerative medicine with stem cell technology. So if you go to the website startx39.com, you'll be able to see these patents on our patches. They're licensed, okay? So we do have patents on our stem cell activation patch, the X39 and the others. But as far as studies go, you'll find those as well too. Now they're over 90. I'm going to give you just a couple that I really love. And one deals specifically with the brain and being able to use neurofeedback and also use EEGs to be able to monitor and look at the functionality of the brain using the X39 stem cell activation patch. And you can see over the course of the weeks and even into months, the progression. So you look at a brain and it looks colorful, like you would if you looked at the person in night vision goggles, right? Except it's really important with the brain, the colors that we're looking at. And we want to make sure that those colors are light blues and greens and yellows. And so one of the studies that I absolutely love was this person. And of course, the brain was red. There's a lot of red, a whole lot throughout the brain, which shows incoherence. Incoherence means that things are synchronized, right? That they are working correctly. And so this brain was out of coherence. You can see there was anxiety, there was stress, there was the nervous system was really out of balance. And so using the X39, you could see the course of, a few weeks later, there was more coherence. The colors had started, the red was less. It was dissipating, and then you could start to kind of see some yellow come in and maybe a hint of green. And then when you're looking out 6 weeks and beyond, you could really see that change to the blues and the greens and the yellows in the brain. So the longer using the X39, the more coherent the brain became, which means the more that it's functioning correctly, doing the things that it's supposed to be doing to communicate with the body. And also the more imbalanced the person became in their nervous system, right? And their anxiety and their stress and their communication and interactions with all things, okay? Then the other study that I really love is with the heart. And David did a study with participants. And, you heard Mel say how the improvements are first 3 weeks, we really start to see things, improve with the digestive and the nervous and the immune system. But then what happens after that? So this study takes place not during the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks or even 5 weeks, but at 6 weeks of using the X39. There were remarkable differences in the functionality of the entire vascular system. And so you can see in this study that every 6 weeks using the X39, your vascular system is functioning as if it were 8 weeks younger. So let's think about that compound effect. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. What is happening to the heart and the entire vascular system? If every 6 weeks we can see it's functioning 8 weeks younger, that compound effect is astronomical. We know the number one killer in the United States is heart disease, especially for women, right? So such emotional beings. And so we carry so much in our heart. So if you can work on the physical heart and the vascular system, what does that mean for your longevity, for your vitality? You heard Mel say that David has the tech that we're supposed to look and feel 25 and live to 250. We can't live to 250 unless your heart's functioning correctly. So boy, those stem cells sure are going to work on one of the very most important things in our body, right? That's why the heart and the brain. And so for me, these are my two favorite studies because heart-brain coherence is very important, right? Staying centered, staying connected to divine, staying very heart-centered and focused. And so knowing that this patch is working physically on the heart and the brain, it's also working emotionally and mentally on the heart and the brain. And I love that. So those are my two favorite studies.
Wow. And of course, your brain and your heart. Talk about the organs that you need. Dr. Staci, thank you for your knowledge on the research. You are always so good at explaining it so we can all understand. Dr. Patty, let's go to you. Can you explain what GHK copper peptide is? And I know you do injections actually in your clinic. I would also like to know a little bit about stem cell injections, which you also do or were doing in your clinic. And then how is the X39 stem cell activation patch like these injections, and how are they different?
Those are all great questions. And in working in functional medicine, I've had the opportunity not only to have my own clinic, but also to work and help support other clinics that may not have an MD on staff to do certain things that they'd like to do. And a couple of the things that we had been doing, one in particular, stem cells, using stem cells through IVs and intranasal approaches. That ability to do that in clinics in the United States was basically removed by the FDA about a little over a year ago now. And so to do stem cells, not only is it very expensive, but you have to go out of country now. The GHK copper peptide, what drew me to all of this so much is that I had researched so much about stem cells and what they do. And then I had gotten very excited about peptides, and peptides are just very short chain amino acids. And we know amino acids are the building blocks for our proteins in our body. And so I was also doing what they were giving us to do through compounding pharmacies with something called injectable peptides. And GHK copper, and that just means it's copper has attached to that short chain of amino acids to help bring it into more activity in the body. And so we were ordering these for patients and giving them not only to, I was doing it for myself. These are injectables that you can do at home and teach the patient how to do so, just sort of like insulin, only peptides. But we know that peptides are natural, what the body makes. And so it makes so much sense to activate those in our body. And when I saw that the patch, the LIFEWAVE patch, stimulated stem cells, and this particular peptide that I loved, it was my favorite injectable, not only for me personally, but what I would recommend for my patients. I got really excited because even the injectable peptides are about 3 times what the patch is. And I loved that the patch didn't have any drugs in it. It doesn't actually have the peptide in it, but it activates it in our body. So I love to vet 2 things, safety and what's effective. And I thought it's going to be wonderfully safe. And I feel certain if it works, it's going to be effective. And that's when I began to look into it and see the research behind it.
Wow, Dr. Patty, thank you for your knowledge. It's amazing that the X39 stem cell activation patch, through actually reflecting back your own light, activates this peptide, GHK copper peptide. And this is the same peptide that Dr. Patty, MD, was injecting in her patients for repair. Can you imagine now Dr. Patty can put her patients on the X39 stem cell activation patch, and guess what? It elevates GHK copper peptide without all the invasiveness. And GHK copper peptide does a lot of amazing things. It's like the holy grail of anti-aging. And one thing it does is activates your own stem cells. And I know Dr. Staci a little bit later is going to kind of wrap that all up. But thank you, Dr. Patty. I really appreciate your knowledge on GHK copper peptide and on stem cells, and really how it's not very available anymore in the US. And so this is a great alternative. And it's less than a cup of coffee a day, your cost, as Peter No would say. Dr. Vienna, could you explain what conductivity of the body means, and how does water and light work together, and how does light work together in the body? And what are acupuncture? What are these points and these meridians? And why is it important that this all works together for our stem cell activation patches?
Well, I think I get to have the best topic because this is so much fun. So first of all, we are connected beings, and that we have electricity and we have energy that courses through our body. And what most people don't understand is that when we are starting to show energetic changes within our body that may be leading to a form of a disease, is that that's why energy medicine works so well, is that we are 99.9999% energy and 0.0001 matter. And so given that we are just this huge energetic being, everything that we do, everything that we bring into our body is energy. And so with energy, we also need to have a direction for that energy to go. And that's where positive and negative poles start. So like, for example, the top of our head is a positive pole, the feet are negative. The palm of our hand is a negative pole. The back of our hand is a positive pole. And so lymphatic systems, blood, water, everything is either drawn to that negative and the positive. And a trick that most people don't understand is that this is where Feng Shui comes in as well, is that, you know, when I see people who have cardiac issues, if their bed is, the head of the bed is facing north and they're laying down, then oftentimes they're getting more heart conditions, more cardiac issues because they are facing towards the North Pole. And so all the blood rushes to that side or rushes to the head. And so therefore they get that high blood pressure, they get a lot of that stuff going on. And so switching it from east to west helps a lot with addressing those kinds of conditions. So the same thing goes with our own energetic being. And so there's a really easy test that we can do to identify if our polarities are intact. What I see in my practice is that a lot of people have medically complex issues, lots of medications, surgeries, exposure to radiation, exposure to x-rays, Wi-Fi, EMF, 5G, all of those. And that throws off their polarity. So when I hear somebody that may not be making progress on their patches, the first thing I always do with people is I check their polarity. So there is a way in which you could check that. And when you can correct it, which is a very simple process, it's just really working on the whole system to get it back into alignment with those polarities, then everything will start to work better. There's some people who don't respond great to energy work. Well, that's probably because their polarities are off. So correct the polarities and then they'll get that progress. So correcting those polarities, making sure they're drinking their water and all those things. Now, why this patch works so well is with the acupuncture system. Now, for people who don't understand what acupuncture and the meridians are, it's like if you look at an irrigation system, we have this PVC pipe that transports water from one spigot to the next. And when we get a clog on one end of the spigot, then all the water that's going towards that clog gets gets compressed, and then there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of pressure going on. That's similar to what is going on with a acute condition. When we have an acute condition, everything is going into the body that is racing to try to correct it and all that. When we release that clog, then the water runs smoothly through that system. Now, on the other side, let's say that on the opposite side, where there is no clog and it's running through, but on the other side of the clog, the plant isn't getting the water. And so therefore it starts to atrophy, it starts to fatigue, it starts to die. And that's what happens in chronic conditions. And so the idea is that we want to open up that whole irrigation system, which is our meridians, and allow that energy to flow. Now, the way we identify that is what is the function of the organ and where does that meridian run through the body? And so if you look at what is the function of the lungs, it's for respiration, it's for breath, it's for oxygenation, it's clearing, but it's also susceptible to cold, like phlegm, pneumonia, things like that. So we look at different ways as far as addressing that. But also the lung meridian actually starts up here in the collarbone, and then it runs down the inside of the arm, and it ends at the thumb. And so you can look at all the different types of conditions that could be appearing along that lung meridian, and then you can address it that way too. So like, for example, arthritis, a lung meridian would be a good place for that. Like lung 7 would be a good point to use for that because it's right on the wrist. So there's lots of different things that we could do with that. So it's looking at some of these things as far as what's the function of the organ, where does the meridian run through, and then it helps us identify it. And what I like about it is that these meridian systems, they don't have a lot of resistance to them, so that when the patch is applied to these meridians, that energy flows through so nicely. Now, for example, I'm wearing the glutathione right here, which is on the conception, or this is the conception vessel. The conception vessel starts down at the perineum and it goes up the body. And so when we want to clear polarities, we go opposite that direction and try to clear that flow. Now, if you think about conception vessel, it helps with conception. So think about reproductive hormones, things like that. That's when you would use the conception vessel. The governing vessel is the one that goes in the back. And we like to put that X39 on the back of that one, like at C7. And that is really good because it governs, think about it, governs the brain, it governs the body, it governs the neurological system. So that's why I love this system, is because it's using magical medicine to get it to course through. And it's absolutely phenomenal when we combine the two. So
Wow.
that's kind of acupuncture, you know,
101. What I think is interesting is we're just normal people and not doctors, but David obviously understood these meridians, because the booklets, the instruction booklets give you like, you know, one place, but sometimes 4 per a patch, which tells me that he's telling us the meridians based on the patches. I think in a nutshell, that's what that means. Yes, doctor?
Yes, and what I really like the most is, as I was looking at some of his points, he's using some that are like what we call master points, very powerful points. And that's usually where meridians cross each other, why they make them so powerful. So you're actually addressing several meridians at the same time with some of these points.
Wow,
So,
I just got
a lot
chills.
of really good information. Yeah. I know.
Thank you, Dr. Vienna.
That too, really quickly. If
Yes,
it's okay.
doctor, of course.
So because of what Dr. Vienna just said about using big acupuncture points that cross big meridians throughout our body, right? All of our clinical studies were done using these patches on those locations that are in the instruction booklet. Yeah. And so when we talk about a patch, we don't just say it does this. Like when you listen to David speak on an hour webinar on a patch, you have pages of notes of what all that patch does. Like you can say, well, carnosine's a big antioxidant. Well, it's great for your blood sugar. It's great for your brain. It's great for your heart. It's great for your muscles. It's great for your connective tissues. Well, how can it do all of that? Because when you apply it to these acupuncture points, it targets all of these things in a massive beneficial way. So you could say, well, you know, what would you recommend for, you know, someone that has these type of symptoms? Well, this patch. Well, what would you recommend for someone that has these types of symptoms? Same patch, but they're totally different symptoms because of exactly what Dr. Vienna just explained. It's genius, literally genius.
Wow. Dr. Staci, Dr. Vienna, thank you. And I don't know, doctors, if this is okay, but there's a lot of people that want your contact in chat, your websites, your numbers. I don't know. I think some people would like to have you as their doctors. So if that's something that you guys want to do, people are asking. But let's move on now to Dr. Patty. Because we need to have time for questions and answers, I'm going to just ask each doctor, I'm going to ask Dr. Patty and Dr. Vienna about some testimonials, and I'm going to ask Dr. Mel and Dr. Staci about their favorite patches, just because we need to be done in an hour. And I know people want their questions answered, so I must leave some time. So let's start, Dr. Patty, with, could you share a few of your personal testimonies, as well as what you've seen from some of your clients or patients that that you have been treating?
Sure. So I wanted to vet the patches, obviously, just for myself to see how I felt about them before I started pushing them out to patients. So my husband and I started with the X39, of course, put it on, and we were apparently about 50% of people, according to what I heard David Schmidt say, will have a response that day, and we were a part of that group. I felt greater energy. I felt a sense of well-being that is just really hard to explain. It was just a sense of everything's good, but I have more energy. My husband felt very much the same way. And I'm finding that most of my patients, as I've begun to roll it out to them, are finding more energy, better sleep, and a sense of well-being. I've had several tell me that as well. For me also, I have the symptoms of MS, and I have pain at night that keeps me up, and I don't sleep well because of that pain. So I immediately added LIFEWAVE because of that. And I did the whole body. That's a technique that is described on the website. You can do it local for local pain. And I have patients that have done that. I have a patient who's done it for knee pain and had great success. A patient that's a breast cancer survivor, who has used it for swelling of her breast and the lymphedema that comes, also from neuropathy as a result of radiation, and pain has been reduced in those local areas as well. But for me, I've been using the whole body at night. And I had after the first night, I had about a 50% reduction. And the second night, I would say about an 80% reduction in my pain. So obviously I'm sleeping better, and that has continued. And I've done that now for a while. I've had patients do so much.
Where did you put the IceWave patches, doctor? Do you mind us asking? I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, so on the bottom of the feet, and you always use the white the patch that's white, and then there's a patch that's brown. That way they have that electrical communication, and the brown patch on the left underneath the feet. And then the other two IceWave patches up on my shoulders. So we get that whole connection throughout the body. It's very special. I have a kidney dialysis patient now who's getting much better sleep using it. I have a patient who tells me it's her chi patch. She says, I can't even explain it, but I feel like a new person every morning when I get up and put it on. I have a patient that recovers so much better. He says his workouts are so much better and then much easier to recover from. So just many, many things like that I've already seen in a very short time.
So I'm hearing that your two favorite patches are the X39 stem cell activation patch and IceWave, which breaks the connection of pain. Am I getting that correct?
Yes, but I have to tell you, I've tried several of them and I love them all, but those are my super special ones, obviously, for me.
And what was you had an interesting story. You were talking to one of your clients that I believe is getting married in Europe. Do you want to tell us that story real quick before I pass to another doctor?
Yes, and she was recovering from an illness before she left. She was very concerned, and I said, well, let's see if we can get you the X39 before you leave. And she has been using it, and she emailed me and she said, it literally saved my wedding, and I'm having wonderful travel. And she said, I'm feeling so much better, so much energy. And she was super grateful. And she's a pretty high-end, very busy, prominent businesswoman. And so I thought this is a great testimony.
Wow. Well, thank you, Dr. Patty, for your favorite patches and your testimonial personally and for some of your clients. Dr. Vienna, do you have a testimonial about yourself or a few of your clients?
Well, how long do we have? There's a lot of them. There's a lot.
We probably have like 4 minutes, so you have to be tight. Or 2 minutes.
All right. Okay, I'll speak. I'll be like an auctioneer. I'll be fast. Okay, so first of all, I had my own personal experience. I applied the X39 and the Aeon, and in 10 minutes, literally, I had so much energy. I ended up weed whacking half an acre, putting up a garden, carrying these 25-pound 50-pound barrels of dirt into my garden and cleaned the house, did dishes. I mean, basically, and I took my shower and still had a lot of energy afterwards. So I'm like, what do I do with it? But I still had no pain after that either. And I was carrying a lot of stuff. Plus, I specialize in pain. I did that as part of my dissertation. And I've had several people who had neuropathy pain from diabetes or from a surgery, and literally, they did the X39 and the Aeon, and literally their pain was gone that very first day. And then they would patch several days afterwards. And then some of them were skeptics, so they were like, yeah, I don't know about this. So they didn't wear the patch one day. And the neuropathy came back, but not as severe. So that showed that there was some carryover from that previous time. And so I really like that. Also, a guy that came in with his wife who's a naysayer, basically thinks this is all woo-woo. And so he wanted to come in and debate it. So I said, well, what do you have? And he goes, well, I've got this bone-on-bone knee pain. And I said, let me just patch you for that. And so I put some patches on him, and it just took 2 patches, and he went home that day. And he started feeling good. He went for a walk, and then the next day he went for a nice little jog, which he used to be a runner. And then his wife started patching him, and he was patched for 3 days. And he said, all right, fine, sign me up. I get it. Because he actually has no knee pain, and he actually feels like he can actually be a runner again.
Dr. Vienna, was that,
but not only that, just digestive issues.
was that X39 and Aeon or X39 and IceWave that you put on that knee? What did you put on that knee?
So I did the glutathione and the carnosine. And that was perfect.
Oh, on the knee.
And I put it on the knee. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it was on gallbladder 34, and it was on liver 8. And those are all really good points for knee pain. And it's also recommended in some of the protocols. And literally, he was like, I feel like he's actually scheduled for surgical procedure, and he thinks he's going to cancel it now.
Wow, Dr. Vienna.
Why does he need it? He's got a patch for that.
Right. So let's go on now to Dr. Mel. Staci, we're going to go ahead and have you go last to wrap it up. So Dr. Mel, why don't you tell us two of your other favorite patches and why?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love using the energy enhancers. There's like not a day that goes by that I don't wear them, unless if I accidentally overuse it, which I have to skip it, which is a bad day. Because it turns anywhere between 300 to 600 calories a day. Who doesn't want that? It's like a free meal, guys. And it also works on the lymphatic system, which is very important because we get stagnant lymph fluid, and that's how disease develops. My other favorite patch is the X49 because according to clinical studies, it burns 11% body fat every 2 months. It helps you grow hair. My hair has grown really long, guys. And it blocks EMF. I mean, other than it being used for athletes like endurance, performance, muscle, lean body, muscle mass, and all that, EMF is very important to me. And being able to block myself from 5G. Like Dr. Staci and I, we Zoomed with people from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. my time, 12, 11 a.m. her time. So we are on Zoom constantly working with clients and doctors across the globe. So we need that protection from 5G and EMF and, overall internet. So those two are my must patches that I always use.
Tell you what, Dr. Mel, yes, you need the energy if you're working from 8 to 10, and you need that X49 for cell phone radiation. That I can see why. Before I go to Dr. Staci, let me just explain. Dr. Vienna explained a patch called Aeon. That actually activates a peptide in the liver that reduces inflammation. That's why I'm sure she likes it so much. And then she talked about using glutathione and carnosine. Glutathione is your body's natural detoxification system and your body's natural antioxidant system. So I could see where that was a very important patch for her to use. And carnosine, I bet you Dr. Staci may talk about this. I don't know for sure, but carnosine actually supports every organ in your body. So I could also see why Dr. V was explaining those two patches. I just wanted to give everybody just a little bit about what they do because I knew you talked about them. So Dr. Staci, let's end with you. You're going to close it out, and then after you, we'll go into a few questions and answers for the doctor. But I want to know your two favorite patches, why, and then if you could recap for all of us just a little more about how the X39 works, kind of just for the layman, just so we all get it. Thank you.
You got it. Absolutely. So my favorite two patches, even I do love carnosine, Marcy, for all that it does. My two favorite patches are what I call the dynamic duo. And that is X39 and Aeon. And I want to tell you why. One of the first videos I watched of David, and when I heard him speak just a few days after I found out about this technology 14 months ago, he talked about the importance of X39 at the same time that you're reducing inflammation with Aeon. And so what Aeon does, like Marcy said, it signals a peptide in the liver to upregulate your SOD and downregulate inflammatory markers like the cytokines, the C-reactive proteins, the lipids, and the fibrinogen, okay? So for me, this patch is huge because when we have inflammation in our body, which we all do, inflammation is the root cause of the disease in the physical body. Okay, so inflammation is so important that you keep that at a low level in your body. You're going to always have inflammation, but you need to make sure that it stays in check so that your body stays healthy. And so what happens when you increase stem cell production, your body's stem cells want to go to work to those areas that are inflamed. They're damaged or not functioning correctly, right? And so what David said, I love this analogy. He said, if I did a stem cell injection into, say, for example, my knee, and I injected 2 million stem cells, obviously there's a lot of inflammation in that knee, right? That's why you're doing stem cell injections, because you're trying to avoid a knee replacement. So I inject 2 million stem cells in there. They go right to the inflammation, right? Right to that area that's damaged. Well, what happens is the inflammation consumes the majority of those stem cells. So you may be left with 200,000 stem cells in your body, not 2 million. So when you can reduce inflammation, at the same time you increase stem cell production, you set the body up for a more rapid, dramatic experience in effects, in regeneration, right? And being able to combat that at the same time is very important. So when people say, well, what about for this? What about for this? And they've got their grocery list of everything. I said, if nothing else, these are the two you're going to start with, because you have to reduce your inflammation in your body, right? I mean, you can just use the X39. There's nothing wrong with that. But listening to David speak makes perfect sense. I've done over 10 years of stem cell therapy with my daughter. We never got the results with traditional types of stem cell therapy, over $100,000 out of our pocket, that we did by applying these two patches, which were a couple dollars. That's because of reducing inflammation in the body. Inflammation comes from surgeries and sickness and stress and accidents and diet and lifestyle, all of those things, right? These are my two favorite. So to wrap it up very quickly, you heard Dr. Mel talk about the science and tech and how this works. So basically, we emit light or heat. You're 98.6, right? And so our body's light communicates with the patch. Embedded in that patch is a crystal lattice structure, like Dr. Mel talked about, those stereoisomers, right? That crystal lattice structure. Each patch has a different combination of organic amino acids and sugars and water and oxygen, each different stereoisomers or lattices, correct? So when we put on the X39, our body's light reflects back a signal from the patch. That signal increases our body's stem cell production through the pathway of GHKCU that you heard Dr. Patty talk about, right? GHKCU is increased, right? Our stem cell production is increased. Our collagen production is increased. And we have over a third of the genome reset to its perfect expression. And knowing that each gene expresses to one or two other genes, that compound effect day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, that's why David can say, this is not anti-aging, this is age reversal. We are reversing the functionality of our cells and tissues and organs. And we see this from the clinical studies. We see this from our blood work. We see this from the neurofeedback, the biofeedback, the biowell, the HRV, the microscopy. We're looking at all these different things in the studies, and we can see the functionality improving. And like Dr. Vienna said, from using these patches on specific acupuncture points.
Wow.
Nothing out there better.
Dr. Staci, can you just explain, there's some people on here that are so brand new, they don't even exactly know what the patch looks like, how you wear the patch. Can you just show us?
Yeah. So this is what it looks like. It looks like a little round Band-Aid. Okay. You actually put it on CV7, back of your neck, bumpy vertebrae. Feel it. It's bumpy. Okay. That's where you put it, or come a couple inches below your belly button. And that's where you're going to put it. One of those two spots each day. Well, David says you can stick it anywhere. Of course, the X39, you can stick it anywhere. But you heard Dr. Vienna explain why those two spots are the most important. And that's why we've done clinical studies. You want to do clinical studies in a controlled situation, right? So you take it off, take the back of it off, stick it on the back of your neck or below your belly button in the morning. You're going to leave it on 12 hours. During that time, you're drinking at least half your body weight in ounces in water, right? It's very important for your cells. The conductivity of the light needs water, right, for this to function correctly. And so increasing your water intake, if you're not consuming half your body weight, is super important. We want you to have the best and the fastest results, right? So leave it on 12 hours. During that time, it's activating, elevating, mobilizing your body's stem cells, resetting them back to their perfect divine level, right? Perfect divine expression. And so then you take it off after 12 hours and you throw it away. Or you can put it on your pet or stick it in your pet bed, whatever works best. If you have pets that need regeneration too, we love our furry friends. So then you do the same thing again the next day. It's very important that it's only 12 hours on, because you want that our light, right? Our low level infrared light that we're emitting. We want that to communicate with the patch for 12 hours. And then you need to give the body a break. Okay. And then it's going to restore and repair and regenerate and rejuvenate all your cells and tissues and organs in whatever order your body needs. We don't get to pick. People always say, how long do I have to wear this? How long is it going to take? When am I going to see results? Stem cells, your body knows how to heal itself, right? And so all we're going to do is activate those stem cells, right? We're going to help your body get back into balance by giving it what it had when it's younger, right? Saying, let's do this again. You remember this, wake up, come on. And so you're just going to do that every single day. How long it's going to take? I don't know. The general rule of thumb is 1 month for every 10 years you are old. I always say, just stop patching whenever you want to start aging again. For me, that's never. So I'm going to patch every day for the rest of my 250 years on this planet, because I'm sure by that point, Dave will have something else and we'll live beyond 250.
Wow.
So that's how you do it, Marcy.
And Dr. Staci, just remind us again, this is non-transdermal. It's light. What does that mean again?
So transdermal patches are what you're familiar with. They are nicotine patches, birth control patches, pain patches, estrogen patches. That's transferring something into the body, a chemical or a substance. So this is non-transdermal, meaning not having a thing transfer through your body, non-trans, nothing transferring. And so it's a wearable light technology. Our body's light communicating with the patch. Like Mel said, it's a biophotonic exchange of information in our body, with this patch. And so nothing is going in. There's no side effects. There's no chemicals, substances, anything going inside of your body. So there's no contraindications with anything you're currently doing or using. Of course, as always, check with your physician, right? We're not making any claims by any means that this is treating or curing any type of disease, but please check with your physician. But we do know that there are no contraindications using medications or supplements or other therapies or modalities you're doing. It works actually, for those of us in the holistic field, it works very nicely synergistically with what we're already doing to support our clients and actually even have them get better results faster. And that's what we want. We don't want clients that see us for life. Like, we want them to get better now and have the best quality of life now, right? Of course, they're going to refer their friends and family to us because they want everyone they know to be here with them and have the best quality of life. And that's the whole point of this. Wow. Is to really.
Thank you, Dr. Staci.
I'd like to add one thing. I'd like to add one thing, and that is there is only one contraindication, and that is organ transplants. And mainly just because if you are using the X39, it is stimulating stem cells, so it would not recognize this organ from another person, and so it might actually reject it. So that is just the one thing that we need to be aware of.
Thank you, Doctor.
And I know you've said that before.
Oh yeah,
Staci, before. So yeah.
So with that, we're going to move over to Peter No. It is 10:56. We're going to go to 11:05. We're going to take, if it's okay with the doctors, may we have 5 more minutes of your time for questions and answers? So we're going to take 10 minutes, and Peter has them on chat, and he's just going to ask, and he's going to take over on this. So go ahead, Peter.
Oh, wow. Thank you, doctors. What an incredible knowledge of wealth. And there are so many questions. And what I would like to do, though, 2 things. Number one, we're going to filter out these questions because there's too many on disease specifics. We cannot answer any questions on disease specifics.
And Peter, let's say this real quick before we start. LifeWave is not intended to cure, treat, or diagnose any diseases. This is just informational. So as we go into the question and answers, understand that's truth. Peter, go ahead.
Correct. So probably the most popular question, because this is a doctor's call and a lot of us now are armed with information. And I don't know who's going to answer this, but in approaching our contacts who are alternative physicians, chiropractors, and DOs, what would you say to one of these professionals to get their attention so that we can have more time to discuss the LifeWave technology and products? So anybody can take that question.
I'm happy to.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what I would say to them is you have found, so you say, I have found something that I would love to get your opinion on, get your feedback and input on. So if you have a personal experience with it yourself, you can say, I found something that's gotten rid of my back pain after 12 years. Or I found something that's helping me sleep through the night now when I've tried everything else and nothing worked. I found something, or you could say to them, I know how into holistic modalities or therapies or treatments, whatever they're doing, right? Whatever their profession is. I know how into all types of things holistic you are. I found something and I would love to get your feedback on it, love to get your opinion and give me your input. Would you mind to take a look at this?
Yeah, and I like to approach it on their heart too. Sometimes I'll say, do you have that one client or several clients that you just feel like you failed? Like you didn't quite help them or help them attain their goals or their outcomes? And has it kept you awake at night? Well, I have something for you to look at. And this may actually change that and actually allow you to sleep at night and resolve it. Because that's how I felt too, where some of my clients were, yes, we made lots of progress, but there's that one thing we didn't quite get done. And it keeps me awake. So
Thank you
I like
so
to go
much.
after their heart.
I'll probably leave this last question because we don't have too much time left and anybody can answer this. Because again, this is a doctor's call. Well, and there's too many questions on disease specifics. Where would you lead a brand new person that is joining our team to find all their information on maybe health, energy, acupuncture points? Where can we guide our brand new people to find that information? Dr. Staci, since you're here the longest, or anybody?
So to find the information on acupuncture points, meridians, different things like that. So you want to refer to, first off, of course, the clinical
the reason why I'm asking is we don't want to make claims. So there's a lot of questions on here. Where do we put this? And it's all the same questions.
And I might be able to, Dr. Staci, ask that question a little different. That I think would be acceptable. I know what they really want. So let's see if we can do this. Dr. Staci, which patches do you think would be best for pain and repair?
So that would be the X39, the Aeon, and the LIFEWAVE.
And the X39 because it's stem cell activation, the Aeon for inflammation, and the LIFEWAVE because it moves pain out. Would that be fair?
You want to get to the root of the issue.
In
the meantime, let's help you alleviate the pain by using the LIFEWAVE on the location.
Thank you. And what patches do you think would be best for detoxification, in your opinion?
Definitely, again, X39, Aeon, and add the glutathione as well. Master antioxidant, immune booster, detoxer.
Fantastic. What about for organs?
I also like.
Oh, go ahead.
I also like energy enhancer on that one too.
Yes.
I like energy enhancer for the detax as well.
Energy,
yeah, and it helps to get that lymphatic system out.
And I also, and tell me if I'm right, doctors, I like Alavita for detox as well.
Yes.
Because you put it on right between your eyebrows and it helps reduce oxidative stress or free radical damage. Would I be right, Dr. V?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And great to use at night for that one. I don't know if you really want to have that in your forehead when you're working it. Well, yeah, I wore mine.
I wore that one day. I got the weirdest looks. I get it, Dr. V.
Yeah.
What about?
Yeah. The other thing is first do
ahead.
a polarity test and then clear the polarities. But then also, you can also muscle test yourself against those patches as well to see which does your body need today. And so when you actually find out, once your polarities are in line, you can actually do a muscle test and say, do I need this one today? And if your body says yes, then you use it. Now, where should I put this patch today? And it'll tell you. So you can really customize it to make it work for you in a very individual way.
I love that. And
yeah.
And maybe one day, Dr. V, we could have you on another call and teach us all how to muscle test. Would you do that? That would be fun.
I would love to. I'll do the polarity test with you and I'll show you how to clear it. All of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, great. The answer is yes. Would everybody love that? We're all going to learn polarity. Okay, yes. Dr. Staci, back to you. What patches would you use for organ support?
The X39, the Aeon, carnosine, SP6, and yeah, and then you can also use Alavita at night as well too.
Okay. Yeah. And what about for sleeping?
You could definitely use the X39 and Aeon and Silent Nights.
I love that. And what about the patches that would help with mood or make you happy?
Yep, X39 Aeon. We know Aeon's our happy patch. It puts your body in that parasympathetic state. And also the Nirvana. You can use the Nirvana patch. We call it our bliss patch, or you actually can use the patch and the supplement together as well too. That increases beta endorphins. So we know that's our bliss patch.
And can that bliss patch help with LIFEWAVE for full body pain, doctor?
Yes, if you use the Nirvana system, the patch and the supplement together, increasing your beta endorphins, it actually shows in clinical studies between 1 to 3 weeks, full body complete pain elimination, no matter what it is, because it's 20 to 30 times more powerful than morphine. So the technology is, what happens is you wear the patch for 12 hours, you take it off, but it sustains that elevated level of beta endorphins, your body's own natural painkillers, for a 24-hour period.
Wow.
Just like
And the Nirvana has actually helped.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the Nirvana has helped with a lot of mental health issues as well, which I see that we're having a lot of issues with. So I really like that one for that reason as well.
Wow. And what about, and this is good. I'm just saying, listen to these doctors. They know what I hope you're taking notes in the last 5 minutes, because this is a gold mine right here. What's SP6, Dr. Staci? What do you use that for?
Yep. So SP6, the studies show that it improves the functionality of the endocrine system by 87% in just 7 days.
Well, I don't know what that means.
So it is shown to curb appetite. It's shown to boost your metabolism. It works fantastically with all of your organs in your body to balance your organs and your endocrine system. Your endocrine system, like most people think of their thyroid and their adrenals.
Is endocrine system also considered hormones?
So Dr. Vienna, you want to go more into that? Yeah, she's like,
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. So the Spleen 6 Complete is the patch, and it also helps with blood circulation, with cleaning the blood and things like that. One of the locations that they recommend for the Spleen 6 Complete is the Spleen 6 point on the leg, which is actually really good for pain, for hormones, for blood, for cleaning the blood, all of that kind of stuff. And I mean, I use that one a lot in my practice when I'm working at acupuncture points. So when I saw that they had a Spleen 6 Complete patch and then also a Spleen 6 point that they're using, I was like, this makes sense. Totally makes sense.
And you know, Dr. V is explaining, Dr. Staci is showing you the points, just so you know. You can go to your own website. We all get our own website, lifewave.com/your replicating site. You log in and you can go to every product under usage and see where placement is. You can also go into your back office under resources, marketing tools, and the product instruction booklets. And Staci put one up. That's what Staci has holding up. Also, your patches come in the mail and they all come with one of these books. David's already told you the placements based on what Dr. V's talking about. So, I mean, I think it's all really come together at the end. Let's go ahead. It's 11:06. Peter, why don't you go ahead and close it out? Make sure that everything's answered. And if Dr. Staci has anything else she wants to add, make sure this would be the time. Go ahead, Peter.
I think, wow, I mean, just from all the chats, this has been one value-driven hour with our doctors. I know there's a lot of questions that cannot be answered. That's why we have 2 communication lines, Telegram and our Facebook page, the Be Working page. Please just get on there, ask away. We will make sure we will get back with you.
And Peter, let me explain that. There's 2 sites for your information. You can go to startx39.com. That's startx39.com. That is all about the X39 stem cell activation patch. It is the workhorse of our line. It is stem cell. There's videos, there's research, there's David Schmidt video, YouTube connection, patents. Where Dr. Staci went, to tell you about the research was on the tab that says research and patents. There's also a tab that says GHK copper peptide. That tells you all about the peptide, right? It's very good. There's also a business site called Start X39 Biz. That's startx39biz.com. And there's a tab called Join Telegram and Facebook. Click on that and join our Facebook, our Telegram. We have our Be Activating Telegram group. We have our Quantum Testimonial group that just has all the testimonials. You can just go down them. All the resources are right there to be of service for our community. Dr. Staci, why don't you end the call for us?
Fantastic. Thank you all so much for being on here today. We really appreciate you taking the time out. We know that you're here because you care. You care about your friends, your family members, your coworkers, your clients, the people in your lives. You're here for that. And that really matters because that's what we are. We're a team of very heart-centered, focused, loving, caring people that want to learn and want to help other people at the same time. So use this information. This recording will be posted ASAP, we promise. So you can use this information to be able to share with all those that you love. So they have the ability to learn and hear as well too. And know that the stuff that we shared here, that you can say the exact same things, right? You don't have to be a doctor or a practitioner or a nurse to be able to talk very simply about this technology, and also use the tools, right? Use the short videos and the things that are on our website and those marketing materials. Use those tools to talk to the people that you care about and to share the information, but get them back on the next Zoom. We do Monday through Thursday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Bring them on the Zooms. We will share people will share their testimonials, 2 different ones every single day. And then 2 different leaders in our organization will share the science and technology for you. So you bring them and we will work with you and for you to help you be able to share this passion and mission with other people so we can help as many people. Our goal is to help 1 billion lives, right? 1 billion people have a better quality of life. So thank you all for being here. We will see you very soon, Monday. Close out the end of this week and this month in a fantastic way.
Thank you.
See you, everybody. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
doctors.
Thank you, doctors. Bye-bye.
Thank you, doctors. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Great.